And Colonel Wright has been the director of the Arizona Department of Veterans Services since her appointment by Governor Ducey in 2015. She is the third generation of her family to serve in the U.S. military and has 3 decades of military experience, including 5 years in the active duty Air Force and 25 years with the National Guard. We also have Nicole Baker with us today, who is the Assistant Director of Public Affairs and Intergovernmental Affairs for the Department of Veterans Services, and she provides oversight to the department's veterans programs. She also served in the Army National Guard for 6 years and in the U.S. Army Reserves for 2 years. So welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for being here today. We are very excited. We have made you both co-hosts.
Great.
So Nicole, let me make sure you're a co-host too. And you should be all set. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks so much for the invite. We always enjoy talking to the Registrar of Contractors. It's funny, right now we're building 2 new veteran homes. And of course, a lot of what's happening for us are delays with equipment. And, you know, a lot of things are at the LA port, right? Right now. So we certainly are definitely seeing what you're seeing in regards to the supply chain being delayed and logistics of trying to match things up so things come in as they do, so things can be done sequentially versus in parallel. And so we've been delayed quite a bit due to this. So we definitely appreciate it. So thank you so much, everyone. And I think our slides are coming up. Looks like it. Yes. Oh, great. Okay. So like they said, I'm Wanda Wright. I'm a veteran with 26 years, 5 years active duty and 21 years with the Arizona National Guard. And we're here to talk to you today about, you know, some things that you can think about when engaging the veteran workforce. I was just reading an article by one of my friends who was a director in Maine, and she had a really great thesis about employment and how now with such changes due to COVID, it's very similar to what happens to service members when they come back from being deployed. Everything has changed, right, when they come back. And so trying to sort of navigate through that is difficult. And because it's difficult, people are not necessarily returning to work. So it's just, I thought it was a great sort of thesis. I'm still reading the article, but it just goes to show you that change can be very impactful on the way that things happen in the world and employment and all other things. So next slide, Nicole. So just a quick overview. We are the Arizona Department of Veterans Services. The bottom line is we try to reduce the access to barriers to anything, whether it's your healthcare, whether it's employment, education, you know, barriers to finances. We try to reduce that for people, particularly access to their services and benefits through the VA. You know, the VA is the system for us. So we want to make sure people get back to it and get enrolled to it. And so our mission is to be the catalyst in response to the evolving needs of Arizona veterans and their families. And so it's really important for I think for our department to really have an ear to the ground about what's happening with veterans so we can react for them to make sure they have what they need. Next slide. So here's just a bit of demographics. As you can see, we have over 500,000 veterans. If you multiply that times about 3, that's veterans and their families. So that adds up to a good number of people that can sort of be influential on policy or things that we're trying to do to support veterans. And it also, it's a workforce, right? It's a workforce. We have about 56,000 military retirees. And what that means to people, because I think they get confused a little bit about a veteran. A veteran isn't necessarily a retiree. A retiree is someone who's done 20 years or more. But a veteran, as long as they've served, they can get out after 4 years and they're a veteran. So just to clarify that a little bit, we have about 100,000 veterans, and I think that's actually more now, receiving disability compensation. So they went in and filed for disability with the VA, and they are receiving some sort of funds for their disability. And then there's another almost 6,000 that also they filed for pension because they weren't at the means level for poverty, and the VA pays them a pension each month. You can see that we have a high number of older veterans. And so I always think to keep that in mind when you're thinking about workforce. Over 50% of our veterans are over 65. They may be wanting to work, but the likelihood is that there's only really about half the veterans that we have in our state that are eligible to work. And of course, you can see the demographics for male and female. Women veterans make up about 10% of all veterans. So if you just sort of keep that in mind. Next. So we have a number of active duty bases in Arizona, and there's a number of service members that are here, and they transition out of the service. And it looks like we have about 2,500 that transition out of Arizona. But if you think about nationally, there's over 250,000 veterans that are transitioning out each year out of the military across the nation. And so that's a potential workforce for Arizona. And I say that because, we continue to try to do legislation that makes Arizona a great place for veterans to come to so that we can have them here as part of our workforce. And we have about 15,000 National Guard and Reserve. About half of them are National Guard and about half of them are Reserve. And as a workforce, that National Guard is a really good place to look, right? They may deploy sometimes, but they are also, generally speaking, underemployed, and they need careers, and we need to help them get them. Next. Arizona Roadmap to Veteran Employment is one of the initiatives that we have. We work with the Arizona Coalition for Military Families and actually the Governor's Office of Youth, Faith and Families to coordinate a comprehensive statewide effort that focuses on connecting veterans. You can see there's a website there to go to look, but overall, really, it's our venture to try to ensure that veterans not only have a job, but have a career. And that's what I try to impart upon people we talk to, that it is important. The veterans have skills, and some of them are soft, leadership, teamwork, but they also have really technical skills too. And we don't want them in those $12 to $15 jobs. We need them to have careers. And maybe a job might start at 15, but there's a career behind it. But we need them to start in jobs like that. We've had situations where I think, really insulted veterans, not really understanding the goodness that they bring to employers. And so I just like people to sort of keep that in mind too. Next. So under the roadmap and Be Connected program, which Be Connected is an early intervention program to provide resources for veterans with whatever they might need. It just sends them to places so that they can get the answers to their questions. So career navigation underneath our Be Connected program really is, there's twofold. They support our SkillBridge program, which, if you have not heard of SkillBridge, that is a Department of Defense initiative that allows currently serving service members in their last 3 to 6 months to come out and work for corporate agencies, government agencies, so that they can have some experience in understanding what it's like to work in a non-military situation. It's been highly successful. We've placed quite a few people in SkillBridge positions. Really what it requires from the employer is to have an actual sort of position available for them. It's very much like coaching, mentoring. There's a little bit of training that can come with it. and it gives a employer, 3 to 6 months to kind of see this person and see if they could be a fit. And it gives the potential employer or service member the opportunity to work in a situation where they can see how corporations and organizations work outside of the military. It's a win-win for both. The employing entity doesn't have to pay anything because they're still being paid by the military. They cover their insurance, they cover everything. So really it's only about the company coming up with a position for that person to go in for that. So it's a really great initiative. I highly recommend it. We can help you through it. Career Navigation program can help you through it. The other side of career navigation is finding employment for veterans, particularly transitioning veterans. And they can provide training, they can provide employers with military and veteran culture training. They provide the potential employee with resume writing, interviewing skills, and all that comes with, employer service providing things, so that the veteran is prepared to meet with someone for that first interview. It's just a really great program. I love it because we have access to military installations and we can kind of bring people in as they're transitioning out and then kind of turn them over to those two programs. Next. So SkillBridge, I already explained it, but I'll give you a little bit more detail. What is really great is it really gives valuable civilian work experience to the potential veteran on specific industry training. So they kind of can choose where they want to go, obviously, but it also offers them the opportunity to experience that industry to see if they like it. They think they want something, they go into the job and they don't really maybe enjoy that particular aspect of it, but they see something else in the industry and they're like, I'm interested in that. And so they can talk with the employer about, hey, I'm not interested in this, but maybe I'm interested in the management of construction. So could you teach me a little bit about that or talk to me a little bit about that? So that's really great. And then of course, the opportunity I think for the employer is vast because it lets you experience what a veteran kind of goes through in those 180 days. And then it allows you also to bring that person in at the end of that SkillBridge opportunity to actually hire them. Next. So what we try to recommend to employers is to become an AVSE, which is an Arizona Veteran Supportive Employer. There's a lot of great things with this program. It's voluntary, obviously, you can't make people do it, but I always highly encourage it if you're very interested in hiring veterans. Mainly because it equips your workspace to effectively recruit, hire, and retain, which is very important, retaining veterans. And when you become one, and it's a fairly simple process, you get training, you get technical assistance and support, and then you have the opportunity to strengthen your service delivery, your coordination care, and connection to service members, veterans, and their families within your organization, right? I'm sure there's a number of veterans who are in your organizations that you want to make sure you're taken care of. And so we can help you do that with this training and technical assistance. And I always want to sort of caution people, it's not that veterans are very needy or anything. It's just there's certain things that, we have expectations about just because of the way we were brought up through the military. And so, I always think language is really important. Like we have all these acronyms in the military. And so sort of converting that thought process to an agency or an industry, it takes a little bit of time and they need a little bit of help with that. Those are the kinds of things I'm talking about. And so being an AVSE can really help you with those kinds of things. Next. Now I'll hand it over to Nicole Baker. Go ahead, Nicole.
We can't hear Nicole.
Can't hear you.
What about now? Okay, thank you. As mentioned, I'm Nicole Baker. I'm the Assistant Deputy Director for Public and Intergovernmental Affairs. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our state approving agency and how we can leverage it in this space. So basically, our state approving agency, they approve institutions to use the GI Bill. And so one thing that I think is really underutilized is our ability to use schools in different institutions for apprenticeships and on-the-job trainings. So for example, Colonel Wright knows one of my favorite ones is we had a veteran who wanted to be a farmer. So he wanted to use his GI Bill to go into agriculture and farming. So what we did was we used our state approving agency to go in, work with the vet and the farm that he wanted to work on. And we were able to get them approved to use the GI Bill using a little curriculum that the farm was able to come up with. And we were able to send the veteran through that program. And now he's working in the field that he wants to work in. And it worked out for the farm because they were able to get labor that they wouldn't have otherwise using the GI Bill benefits. So it worked out for both sides. So the process to becoming a VA approved apprenticeship / on-the-job training program is pretty simple. So you would work with our Arizona State Approving Agency and go through, like I said, that application process. So that requires, like I said, there's a little bit of curriculum, right? So we're going to want to know, what is this person going to be doing? You know, what are the wages going to look like? So obviously the VA will pay part of it, but there'll be also a part of it that the organization has to come up with also. And so the veteran will be probably receiving some wages plus their GI Bill benefit, as well as a stipend, which, like I said, you know, generally works out well on both sides. So right now we have 246 of those approved programs in the state. And we're always looking to add more. You know, like I said, I think it's severely underutilized. You know, when we have over 400 educational institutions using it, but not nearly as many apprenticeships and on-the-job trainings. So any interested organization would work through the application with our state approving agency. And then it's really that simple, just like the story with the farm and the veteran who wanted to work in agriculture. And so what we found is it's a really good recruiting tool, you know, being able to tell the veteran, you know, you're going to get some wages plus the stipend if you're going to use your GI Bill. And we found it's a really cool way to attract people and get them into the door of starting to work in certain industries. A lot of times when we are engaging with veterans who are looking into getting into the workforces, sometimes there is a financial barrier that comes along with starting that first day of work or anything associated. So one program that we have that I'd encourage all veterans to take advantage of is the Veteran Toolkit program. So for example, you know, if somebody is going to, you know, go work on a construction site and they need steel toe boots, that's something that we can take care of using this program. Again, I think it's one of those things that's just underutilized. So, you know, we've seen some of our veteran supportive employers, you know, go through, hire a vet, send them over to us to get this veteran toolkit, you know, and now we know first day of work, that person's going to be ready to go, right? They've gone through the career navigation program, you know, they're hired on, and now they have everything they need to be successful on day one. And then the next program I'd like to highlight is the Arizona Military Family Relief Fund. It's a financial assistance program that can award up to $20,000 in financial assistance. So I highlight this because, you know, I think it's really important when we talk about bringing in veterans to the resource, into the workforce, just to understand that we should really be looking at holistic needs of what that person needs. So this is just one of those things that really helps give people a hand up when they're trying to work through whatever barriers they may have. So I highlight this because, you know, $20,000 goes really far when someone is trying to reach some sort of stability. So we've already talked about Be Connected a little bit, but I just also highlight, you know, I think it's a really good program for people to be aware of. You know, it might not be something that you would need today, you know, but maybe one of you gets a skill bridge and you have a veteran working for you who needs something and you have no idea where to send them, we'll send them to us. We'll take care of them. So it's a really good program because, I use it myself. Sometimes I don't know what to do about a client that we're working with. And then sometimes you just need things and you need to talk it out with somebody. So this program is really great, to just take care of, again, those holistic needs for our vets. So what can everybody here do to support our vets? Number one, if somebody does have an apprenticeship or on-the-job training or want to create one, let's get working with our state approving agency to get that moving so we can get some people using their GI Bill for that. Also become a veteran supportive employer. So again, it really works out on both sides because, it's a great designation to have. A lot of employers use it as a recruiting tool, and again, the organization is becoming more and more veteran supportive and friendly and has a good understanding of the benefits of recruiting and retaining vets. And then again, it also helps the vets because it puts them in a pathway to receiving some stable employment. And then also having that DoD skill bridge opportunity is also a really cool program. And then educating those new veteran hires about the veteran toolkit. Even if you don't remember it until you're looking at them on day one, we can still accommodate that need if the veteran does need something to be successful. And then lastly, just don't forget about us. I think it's really important. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, there's a department that serves vets. Just remember that, that'll get you there. And then when you do run into a need, you're able to just reach out. And we'll always be here to take care of those needs. So just some important contacts, our contacts at the department. And then that second one, the Public and Intergovernmental Affairs Division, our inbox is always open to help with any needs or any questions any of you may have. And then the Be Connected line and some other important contacts are also on this slide. And we're happy to share these too at the end.